All right, folks, welcome. We're going to be tackling how to solve a circle equation question on the SAT and the ACT today. And this is also going to be a completing the square question. And that may seem surprising for you right now, but that will become apparent as we move on. Now, we know that this is a circle equation question because they tell us right there it's the equation of a circle. They're kind enough to tell us. Now, circle equation questions can appear in either the medium portion or the hard portion of the SAT and the ACT. So you should not really be tackling these types of questions until you're getting all the other easy and medium level questions on the SAT and the ACT math sections complete. This is definitely considered an advanced topic. But, you know, if you watch this video and you remember this when you take the test on Saturday or whenever you end up taking it, and you get that extra question right, you didn't waste your time with me. So you've realized that it is a circle equation question. We've labeled it as such because it says so in the question. So we're going to go ahead and write down our formula. Y minus k squared. So the formula is going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where h comma k is our center and r is our radius. Now, one thing to remember, the output of the circle equation is radius squared, not radius. You will need to remember that. I see a lot of students mess up on this because they think that the output is just simply the radius by itself. Not the case. You will need to take this. You will often need to take the square root of the output of this equation in order to find the radius. So keep that in mind. Now, looking at this, looking at the equation that they give us, we see that it is obviously not in the right format. We have x squared plus y squared. We have 10x minus 12y. We have a negative number for our output, which obviously can't be right because you obviously can't have a negative distance. So we're going to have to do some stuff to this. Now, I may not know what I should do. Well, I do. But you may not know what you should do. But one thing that you can do, and that's a big mindset I tell my students, you need to think not about what you should do, but what you can do. So one thing you can do is try and get this in the right format. So let's get this in the right format over here. We'll use a dark blue for that. So I'm just going to group my x's and my y's together in the same equation. So I'm going to say x squared plus 10x plus y squared minus 12y equals negative 45. Now, I haven't even really done any math yet. I've just ordered things in the proper format, so all my x terms are next to each other and all my y terms are next to each other. Now, this next step is going to take a little bit of a jump in logic. You will have to complete the square twice in order to solve this equation. And you're just going to have to trust me on this one. There's not really a great way to explain how to get that jump in logic unless you complete the square all the time. And I find that most students only complete the square for like a week in school, and then the teacher moves on. So, bit of a refresher on completing the square. If you want to complete the square for any equation, bring purple back up. If you want to complete the square for any equation in the format of ax squared plus bx equals c, if you want to complete the square for that equation, you would do ax squared plus bx plus b over 2 quantity squared equals c plus b over 2 quantity squared. So b over 2 quantity squared allows us to put this in the nice binomial format here. So x minus h squared, we will be able to get it into that into that difference of perfect squares. And of course, we're adding b over 2 squared to both sides because what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So let's go back to our original problem here, and I'm going to just take a look at my x terms. Pull those out of there. Now, x squared plus 10x. Now, I'm going to set it equal to 0. It doesn't actually equal 0. I'm just using 0 as a placeholder, a visual placeholder for myself. So I'm going to complete the square for my x terms. Now, remember b over 2 squared. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do x squared plus 10x plus 10 over 2 quantity squared equals 10 over 2 quantity squared. Of course, my b value is 10, so that's what's going in there. Now, let's go ahead and simplify that. I got x squared plus 10x plus 5 squared, equals 5 squared. X squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 25. Now, looking at this, we will have to factor for our next step. And of course, if you factor the left-hand side, you get x squared plus 5 quantity squared equals 25. Now already, let's get rid of that. This is why you write down every step. Now, looking at this, I can already tell that I have my nice pair. I can already have a nice pair of numbers in here to make a binomial, and I have a plus 25. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a different color here and just say plus 25 up here for my first problem. And now I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back a little bit and then complete the square for my y terms. I'm going to use a red for that. So, no, I'll stick with blue. So let's go ahead, and I'm actually going to give myself a little bit of separation here. Should have given myself more space for this. You will need to give yourself plenty of space on your scratch paper for these types of problems. All right, so let's pull out our y terms, and we're going to set it to 0 as a placeholder, and we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to add b over 2 squared to both sides. So y squared minus 12y plus negative 12 over 2 quantity squared equals negative 12 over 2 quantity squared. Completed the square. Now let's go ahead and simplify. Y squared minus 12y plus 6 squared equals 6 squared. Y squared minus 12y plus 36 equals 36. And now, of course, I factor. Y squared minus 6. Oh, I did it again. Y squared minus 6. This is why you write down every step, folks. Squared equals 36. And again, my output over here, my 36, goes up here, and I add it to my original equation. Now, if we look here, we will write down everything into our new simple form. We have x plus 5 squared for my first completing the square, plus y minus 6 squared for my second completing the square equals negative 45 plus 25 plus 36. And let me plug that into my calculator over here. Negative 45 plus 25 plus 36. That equals 16. X plus 5 quantity squared plus y minus 6 quantity squared equals 16. So if we think back to our original format over here, our original formula over here, our center point is going to be negative 5, positive 6. All right, that's going to equal our center. And then our radius is going to be 4. Now, if this was on the test, I guarantee you one of the multiple choice answers would be 4. And even though we did all of our math right here, if we chose 4, we would be wrong. We have to double check and see what question they're asking us there at the very end. Sneaky, they're asking us for the diameter. So, diameter is twice radius, so our diameter would be 8. All right, folks, so this is how you solve a question where you graph circles and use completing the square. In my experience, this is really the only way to do it. You may come up with another one, you know. There's more than one way to do a math problem, but in my experience, this is the fastest, most effective, and efficient way to solve a circle graphing question given in this format. Hope this helps. Feel free to go back and pause it. Feel free to ask any question in the comments, and hopefully this will help you when you take your big test. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments about future videos too, future topics you want covered, other such things. All right, thanks. Break a leg this weekend, guys.